Getting your driving license is a mad feeling. It's like your first ticket to freedom. You can finally get a car and go wherever you want to go. I remember when I got my license, I got straight onto eBay with 1,500 quid and I was looking for like M3s and all sorts of other mad cars, thinking surely I can buy some kind of cheap, mad, fun car to drive. After about 10 minutes of looking, I quickly realized I don't even have enough for a clapped out 330i. Over the years, I realized you don't need a big, expensive, powerful car to have fun. You can have fun in a cheap little clapped out hatchback. You can go down your local Asda car park, you can do all the handbrake turns you want. And then the next day, you can drive it to your shift at JD and it won't let you down, most of the time. So anyways, on with the list. Here are 6 cheap cars that are fun to drive. Now before we get on with the list, like the video, subscribe to the channel. First up is the Fiat 500. I used to drive one of these as a rental car from this company called Ubico. They were super peppy and barely drank any fuel. I used to floor it everywhere and get to my destination smiling. Parts for these cars are cheap as chips and the car's been in production since 2008, so you can pick one up for less than £1,500. If you're on the taller side like me, then go easy over the speed bumps or you will bang your head on the ceiling. Up next is the Mark 8 Honda Civic 1.8 petrol. I think the code name is FN1. Now the engine on these is bulletproof and I can back that up personally. I picked up one of these in the summer of 2020 and it was a 2010 model and it's still my car now. Since I bought it, I've put about 35,000 miles on it. I've only had to change the auxiliary motor and the brake pads. Aside from that, it's taken so much abuse. I've been using it as a van, I haven't serviced it, I've been driving it all over the place, had a couple of hits as well, and it still drives perfect. I can go on for days about this car, but all I'll say for now is that it's not a Type R, but the VTEC still kicks in around 5,000 RPM and it still makes you smile when it does. I'll make a full detailed video on this car very soon. You can pick one of these up for about 1,500 quid, but if you're really strapped for cash, you could probably get on Facebook Marketplace and find them for less than 1,000, easy. They might be a little bit rusty, they might be a shed, but they'll still run good if you look for the right ones. A third on this list is the Citroen C1, Toyota Aygo and Peugeot 106. Now it's all 3 of them because they're basically just the same car underneath, just different badges and slightly different styling. The cheapest chips to buy, cheapest chips to tax, insure and fill up. The engines on these are reliable and the inside actually feels a lot bigger than it looks from the outside. They're tiny, so even though they only have about 69 horsepower, they still shift quite well. Now obviously you won't be breaking any speed records, but that's not really the point. If you drive it like you stole it, you'll be smiling ear to ear wherever you go. Fourth on the list is the granny mobile that rivals cars like the Suzuki Wagon-R and the Vauxhall Meriva. Not very exciting sounding, but it's the Fiat Panda. It comes in petrol or diesel options, and it even has a special hot version named the Fiat Panda 100 horsepower, which comes fitted with a 1.4 litre petrol engine, and I'll let you guess how much power that car has. Now the standard versions, the petrols and the diesels, are still really reliable and they're good for mega high MPG, up in the 60s or 70s for the diesels. And just like the Fiat 500, they're super fun to drive when you drive them on the limit. Now for about £2,000 you can get a 2007-ish Fiat Panda 100 horsepower, but for that price it might be a bit of a shed. If you do go for one of the regular Pandas instead, so not a 100 horsepower, then you can pick them up for less than £1,000. But at less than £1,000 it might be a little bit of a shed. So if you can move more towards the 1,500 or about 2-3 grand for a newer shape, then you'll be better off. Fifth on the list is the only rear-wheel drive car here. It's the BMW 1 Series. Rear-wheel drive hatchbacks are quite rare, and if you're looking for a cheap one, aside from the 1 Series, there's kind of no other options. The first gen 1 Series came with a bunch of different engine options, including a 2 litre diesel, and even a solid straight 6 3 litre petrol in a few different states of tune, so you could have it as a 125i, a 130i, or you could even get a turbocharged 3 litre, which was the 135i. If you're on a super tight budget, for about 1,500 quid you can pick up a 120D, and with a simple remap you could be up in the 200 horsepower range. Now obviously a BMW for 1,500 quid, it's going to be a little bit rough, but if you've got about 2,500, then you can find a much nicer one. Now the interesting thing is that you can pick up a BMW 130i for less than £4,000, and out of the box it comes with 260 horsepower. Now with a bit of a tune-up, you could easily be pushing 300. On top of that, BMWs are famous for their inline 6 engines, so there's plenty of modifications out there, but obviously it is a BMW, so just be cautious of hidden oil leaks. And being that it's a rear wheel drive car, you'll easily be able to slide it around, especially when it's wet outside. But obviously you do need to be careful as well. It can be a little bit unbalanced. And if you look on Auto Trader or eBay, there's no shortage of Cat S and Cat N 1 Series out there, just because it's young drivers that are binning them around corners. Last one on the list, it's the only supercharged one here, it's the Mini Cooper S. Now for less than £3,000 you can pick up a decent 2005-ish model. It comes with a 1.6 litre supercharged petrol engine that pushes out about 170 horsepower. It's not quite as small and cool looking as a classic Mini, but it's still a nice car and it has a good chunk of power, so it'll be fun to zip around in. I'll try to get one on the channel soon, maybe we'll see it in a challenge video or something, because I have seen them quite cheap on Facebook Marketplace. Now this Mini Cooper and other Minis are known for their oil leaks, so be careful when you're buying one of these. I mean, it does borrow a BMW engine after all. So there you go, there's my list. Now if I was 18 again in 2024, then the car that I would try and go for is a BMW 130i. When you've got a big engine, rear wheel drive, easy to slide around, and you can pick them up quite cheap as well. Probably about $2.5 to $3 grand. I don't know what I'd do about the insurance though. Let me know which one you'd go for. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Catch you in the next one. Safe.